Hey everyone, Michael here from Adventurous Real Estate Investors. Welcome to the third and final video of the asset management presentation that we did at the Real Estate Investing Rock Summit. So I hope you enjoyed the first two videos. If you haven't checked them out yet, please go back. They're released before this video, obviously. This is the third part here. But in this third part of the asset management presentation, Suzy and I talk about the greatest ROI that we focus on, which is return on impact. We also talk about certain technology tools that we use that we find very useful. And then finally, how to lead your manager. You don't need to manage your manager, you need to lead them. And so in this video that follows this presentation here, or my video here, you'll learn all of those things. I really hope you enjoyed the three-part presentation we did on asset management. Of course, if you have any questions, please drop those down in the chat or reach out to us directly on our website at adventurousrei.com. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
The next thing I want to chat about is how we try to be a resident-focused management. And I shouldn't say try, because it's definitely what we strive for. So there's a couple things that we definitely do in our, just in our business. So for example, one of them is the verbiage. So like Michael mentioned at the beginning, with your property management company, are they saying residents or are they saying tenants? Because tenants put off a very negative connotation, right? These are people. The only reason that these business plans work is because of the residents in the community. Another thing that we try to listen for is apartment homes versus units. Yes, in a lot of day-to-day conversations with operators, we're talking about units, but how are the vendors talking about it? How is your property management company talking about it? How are the brokers talking about it? Because you can tell where the passion lies when you're having these conversations. And then the third thing we look at, just in general talk, is apartment communities versus complexes. Just because if we are going to strive to create a community, we're going to actually have to call it one, right? We want the people to feel safe and secure in these communities. We don't want them to just feel safe and secure in a complex. And so another way we are resident focused is within our business plan. So what we do is that when we are initially underwriting the deal, what are we trying to add besides traditional renovations, right? Because anybody can just turn apartments, but what do we actually do? And what we try to look for, what we have done, is that we've added in-unit washer and dryer connections and then washer and dryers, just because now, especially because of COVID, being able to be in the comfort of your own home and do your own laundry is huge. You don't want to go to a public space where everybody else is using it, where you have to sit there and watch your laundry. That takes a lot of time. And for example, say it takes 5 or 6 hours out of your day. If time is something that is our most valued asset, why would we not want to give that same asset back to these residents? Because they deserve it too. 5 hours is a lot of time in their day. But then something else that we do, so in our business plan, we think for example, the in-unit washer and dryers. Well, there's other amenities that you can add to the property, and we can guess what they want, or after closing, you can put together a survey and have that sent out. So a great example of that is that we thought at one of our properties, a dog park would do really well. We've been getting the surveys back, and we found out that they actually would like self-storage on the property. We would have never, that was not really in our radar. I kind of just added that to see, because I wanted to have 5 options. And so now that one is getting a lot of feedback, we're like, hey, we can do something more. If they're not going to utilize a dog park, why would we even think about putting that in?
Yeah, self-storage is more income too.
There you go. Yeah. And so the third thing that Michael and I, really focus on is the return on impact. And so just by focusing on a different ROI, whether that's adding amenities or adding those in-unit washer and dryers, you're actually going to increase the retention of the residents on the property. And that's really the most critical thing, right? As an asset manager, if you have resident retention, then you also have increased referrals coming in from your residents. And that is huge. We really focus on creating a community that is thriving instead of surviving. because that's really what everyone deserves, right? Like we've taken care of the basic necessity of shelter. So why can't we go beyond that? Like when we move away from purely return on investment and you focus on return and impact, that's just when you create like a great atmosphere. When you start talking about people instead of just profits, the whole entire conversation changes with everyone, because not everyone is driven by money. And so when you talk about how you can change the lives of people, a lot more passion comes out, not just with your general partnership team, but with your property management company, with the vendors that you work with, because your cause is bigger, right? Like you can have someone say, a vendor, for example, like, oh, I just replaced flooring in units. Or like a vendor could just do a little switch in thinking and be like, I create a better living environment for the people living in this apartment home. Like right there, that mindset changes everything. So when you focus on the people instead of just the profits and how much money it costs to turn everything, a lot changes. And so I really would encourage all of you to think about the impact that you're making just in the community, with your business partners, with everyone.
Absolutely, Suzy. So, okay. You've taken your time. You've got all the projects done. Your business plan is coming to an end, right? You've turned the units that you want to turn. You've done the renovations. You've done all the deferred maintenance and everything like that. Now what? Like you're just on cruise control until you're ready to sell the asset, right? You can just sit back and relax and, sip martinis on the beach, right? Wrong. I guess it'd be more like pina coladas on the beach. Martinis would be a little different. But you don't just sit back. You don't just relax after your business plan is complete, right? I've listed 3 things here you need to focus on during that time period after the business plan is complete and until you sell the property. The first one is loss to lease. You want to focus on your loss to lease, specifically getting creative on ways to burn off the delta, right? So burn off that loss to lease. As each year goes on, you're going to keep up with the rents and things like that, and you're going to keep pushing rents. Well, that means that the delta is going to change between what the current rent is and what the new performance rent is or the new market rent is, right? So that delta is going to continue to change. So you have to get creative with how to find ways to burn that off and reduce that delta. The second thing is you really want to keep a pulse on the market. And what I mean by that is you need to keep up with the occupancy rates in your specific submarket and in your market. You need to keep up with rents, how much people are charging for rents. You need to keep up with new developments that are taking place and any off-market deals, right? This is critical because then it goes back to, hey, I also want to point out, like, if you reach 100% occupancy in your property, guess what? Everybody might celebrate, pop champagne, things like that, have a party that you're at 100% occupancy. But guess what? If you're at 100% occupancy, that means you're not charging enough. So you need to take a look at what your competitors are charging and maybe bump those rents by 15, 20 bucks, right? And then, what we tend to target is something between 95 and 98% occupancy. That seems to be the sweet spot. And that's what we're trying to target for. But also, when you're bumping rents and things like that, you want to ensure that you never raise rents above 1/3 of the local median household income. And that's critical because, like, if you go above that 1/3 threshold, then you're really putting a lot of strain on the residents in your area, right? Because you don't want them to just, all their paycheck is going to your rent, to their rent. So that's also important to keep up with as well. See what your jobs are doing, see if they're doing any, inflation's going up, but what people are getting paid also tracking with inflation as well. And then the final and the third thing that I'm going to talk about here is networking, right? Networking is huge. Networking with operators in your market, also networking with brokers and other vendors as well. But networking with operators that are in your market is huge because you're going to learn about what's working for them, right? What strategies are they using to burn off that loss to lease? What amenities are working for them as well in that market? And also what occupancy rates they have, and also what they're charging for rent. So all those things are critical. So again, find creative ways to burn off loss to lease, keep a pulse on the market, and then also network with local operators in your market.
Yeah, and something else that I want to add just for the networking with operators in your market, when you create those relationships that are deeper than just surface level, like you start to have those conversations about your properties and how they're doing, if they're doing well or if they're doing poorly. But if they are doing well, you can start to have those conversations of like, hey, I'd love to offer you a price to buy this from you. That's not something that you can just go up to an operator that you don't have a relationship with and say. But the greatest part about that is that that could give you an opportunity for an off-market deal that no one else would know about because the operator didn't even think about selling. So that is why it's really key to become, friendly with the operators. You can learn so much from them, but the exchanging of deals can also become much more fluid. And that's exactly what a lot of us want, especially our investors as well. We want to be able to give them more opportunities because of the financial freedom that so many people crave. And so to move into the tools that we use for success, because it's like, okay, cool, you've told me all of these things. Where do they go? How do we keep track of them all? And this is just a specific, list of exactly what we use. There are different offers out there or different options. So just choose whatever works best for you. So for our project management software, we use Asana. Inside Asana, we have all of our general partners and we have our property management team on there as well. So instead of sending back and forth emails with too many attachments, we can create line items for everything specific, right? So if there is a water issue, all of the conversation can be under that. If a unit or an apartment needs turned, everything can just be in one line item. For community events, we can have a line item for that. And then to the side, we just see all the comments that people are taking so that you don't ever have to look through your emails to try to have these conversations. The software our property management company uses to communicate with us, because before it was us communicating with them, is AppFolio. So inside AppFolio is where they will put all of the monthly financials, where they will house their executive summary of what has happened on the property and whatever information we ask for. They put a market update on there, and then they do a CapEx improvement sheet so that we can make sure that what they have written down for each of the apartments and what has been done actually matches the general ledger that Michael was talking about on the financials slide. For our investor portal, we use Syndication Pro. So our investor portal is just linked up with our website so that people can have easy access. But inside the investor portal, we can communicate with them as well, through email, but that's how they can see upcoming deals. So it's just very streamlined in the deals that we have open, what's coming up next, and then previous deals that we had once we have gone full cycle. And then another tool that we use for our customer relationship management is ActiveCampaign. So this is just Michael and I personally, but within ActiveCampaign, we have everybody's names and we can take notes on them. Any question that we ask can be in there. If they filled out a form that we have somewhere through our website, that automatically pulls it and we'll put all the answers in there. But we don't just use ActiveCampaign as our CRM. We also use it for our marketing. And what I mean by that is that we have automation set up to where we can send out emails. So instead of sending out 150 emails to people on your list, you can send out one and make it very streamlined and just have more of your time back. Because that's what this all is, right? You want to be able to be using these tools so that you can have more time to focus on asset management. And the final tool that we use, which is not listed, but we have a shared Google folder. And I want to talk about the shared Google folder because when you have multiple people on the team, which you always do, and you can house all of the documents on one spot, what this does is just create more efficiencies. So if somebody's investor has a question and they can just find the answer because the information is housed in this Google folder, you then eliminate the back and forth on the emails or the waiting game, right? Somebody might not check their email for the entire day. And if an investor goes 12 hours without an answer, they might get frustrated. But because of this shared Google folder, anyone can go in at any time and look at any of the documents. It houses everything because we are all part of a team. We should all have access to the same information because we all should know what's going on at the same time. Like we all have investors. We all care about our investors. Nothing should ever be hidden. That is an absolute no for Michael and I.
So the last little piece that we're going to get into is a little philosophical, and it's Suzy and I's philosophy. So me being a military officer, I've taken a lot of leadership courses through my 16 plus years being in the Air Force. So I hear this often in the real estate community, and specifically like multifamily commercial real estate fan. I always hear manage your manager, trust but verify, things like that. Wrong. This is my opinion. Wrong. Do not manage your manager. Lead them. As the asset manager, you are the strategic visioneer of the company. You are like the CEO level, right? The property management company is just basically your employees carrying out the business plan, right? You are overseeing the strategic vision. Let's get into trust but verify. That is a misnomer. Trust but verify. How does that make sense? Get rid of that, scratch it out. Forget that whole phrase. It is delegate and follow up, right? Because if you trust somebody, you shouldn't have to verify. What you should do is delegate and follow up with them, right? Get rid of the trust but verify. So again, lead, do not manage your property management company. If you are in the weeds making a lot of yes and no decisions, then you haven't empowered your property management company by giving them enough clear guidelines. That is a failure on you as asset manager. If you are making a lot of yes no decisions, you need to, going back to what Suzy talked about, the 90-day business plan, what to expect when closing, you need to write out clear guidelines for your property management company in that plan and in your general business plan as well. If you are clear in doing this, you have laid out the strategic vision, and all you need to do is lead your property management company. You do not need to manage, you do not need to micromanage. I hope that helps.
It does.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So lastly, please feel free to reach out to us however you like. You can reach us on our website, adventurousrei.com/info. And that is a landing page where you can find information about return on impact. You can find our podcast on there. You can find our YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, actually, if you scan this QR code down here, that will take you directly to our YouTube channel. We have so many videos on there on asset management. And actually, I have 10 more videos of asset management coming out in the next 10 weeks. So we release 3 videos a week on our channel, and we're just loving putting out content, putting out videos.
We are.
Also, you can feel free to email us at exploremore@adventurous.rei.com, and we'll more than happy to chat with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for being here with us during our introduction to asset management. We hope that we brought you a ton of value. And as Michael said, if you have any questions about anything that we discussed, please reach out at any time because we would be happy to help.
So we hope that you enjoy this series, but stay tuned because if you watch all 3 parts, at the very last one, comment in the comment section, #AREI bonus, and we'll send you the webinar slide so that you can check out all of the goodness in a packed full section.